you so much for bringing it to us.
Yeah.
Questions? Yes.
I just want to thank you for making this film. It's very powerful. I want to thank you for being free.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, not an easy film to make actually, but I'm glad to be showing it here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts or questions? And I know it's a lot to take in here, I guess.
Yeah. There.
I, excuse me, there's just some dust in the air, but you really captured a lot of great story in all of that, and I can't imagine the footage you had to go through to put it all together. How did you, or how difficult was it to get some of that early footage from Afghanistan, other items like that, so to put it all together?
You know, like a lot of filmmakers and a lot of films, I said to myself many times, this is an impossible film to put together because I had so much stuff. You know, it's a compilation of the footage that I had when I was in Afghanistan that I got permission to use from the Army as a public affairs guy. I also went through, I mean, so many hours of footage from the 80s and the 90s of Afghanistan, which was like public domain footage of all that stuff that I used during their history. Because interestingly, because there were so few Afghans that were able to put photo to film during the 80s and the 90s, there was very limited sources. A lot of that was from Western journalists who had filmed that and then put that out there for public domain. Then, you know, during the process of this film, we made, when I was at USC, I was trying to make a scripted version of this story, which was, I was hopefully going to be The Covenant, but that was not my film, and not to be made that way. And during the process of trying to make a scripted version of that, this story started to develop and we switched to a documentary. And so we used that Kickstarter money from all those generous people to go and film their Saifullah and Ismail's interviews when they got to America. So then that was like segment 3 of that film, and then I kind of sat on the film for a couple years because we didn't have funding to finish it. We didn't have an ending. I didn't really know what was going on with the film at that point. What was the ending? Because it didn't feel complete with them just arriving to America. And then Ismail got stuck in Afghanistan again. And I remember telling him, as the journalist filmmaker I am, when he was calling us desperately trying to get out, I had to remind him, please record as much as possible on your journey from Afghanistan. Hopefully nothing happens to you. And of course, Ismail courageously filmed that footage that we see in the third act there. So it was kind of one of those serendipitous films that kind of came together through 14 years of just trying to stick with the story.
Now, I have a question. You said you got permission from the U.S. government to use some of the footage. How difficult was that? And do they know, like, how much did you have to explain what you were going to use it for?
Yeah. Good question. So when I was public affairs for the Army, you know, we saw a lot of things, and I saw a lot of things that I didn't record because I was public affairs, right? So, I mean, whatever you want to call it, propaganda or you know, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a journalist. I worked on behalf of the military. However, over the course of the years, there's been a couple other films that have been done by folks like me, combat camera and stuff. One that was more controversial in the footage that he showed, who was sued by the Marines and lost. You know, the truth of it is this footage is your footage. You know, the taxpayer paid for this footage. And I hold a still very deep respect for what the military tries to do, regardless of the politics that make the military do things that the American people may be very angry about or confused about or controversial. There's a lot of good people in the military, and I hold my reputation in the military very highly. So it wasn't hard for me to use this footage, mostly because, as you see, the footage is not as controversial as some of the things that happened while we were there. So that's not what the focus of this film was supposed to be about. So There's other footage that I have that maybe the military would not be as happy to release, but for this film, it was supposed to be about our relationship with the Afghan people. So.
How did each of us help get the rest of the interpreters here?
Thank you for asking that. And it's a common question at the end of this that often is hard to answer, considering that there's little that we can do, but there's hope. The advocacy arm of this film is called No One Left Behind. I would say look them up. Donate what you can, because everything that they receive goes to the efforts to get Afghans here. And they are probably the nonprofit that's the foremost in getting the most Afghans here. And it's still very challenging, because now that we're out of Afghanistan, the impetus to get them here is even less than it was when we were there. But they're still doing the work that's needed to get done. And so I would say support them. If you know any Afghans who are here struggling to do their life, support them with kind words and direction in the way that they need, because it's a challenge to be here as an immigrant, especially from those countries. But No One Left Behind is the nonprofit advocacy arm of this film that I'd say is doing the best. Also, support politicians who are advocating on behalf of the Afghan Adjustment Act, which is the act that Congress is trying to push forward, that's been advocated on behalf of both sides of the aisle, but you could look up which side is potentially more prohibitive. And that act allows a lot more Afghans to come to this country. So.
Yeah, right back.
Where does the film go from here?
Another good question, for which I do not know the answer. I'm very thankful for film festivals to be showing this film. It's an independent film that was made with a lot of heart. And we are sponsored by Vet TV in one aspect. They have a streaming service that probably that many people here probably wouldn't subscribe to because it's very edgy veteran humor. And I was grateful for them to help me finish this film. We're hoping that we have a couple more film festivals we're going to, and we're hoping to get it out with just independent Amazon, Apple. I would say, I guess, follow me on my social media stuff to keep up with where it's going to go next. We have a film festival in San Diego, another one in Los Angeles, and by the end of summer, we're hoping to get it out wider. That is the challenge of an independent filmmaker, right? Especially in the age of so much stuff being out there.
Yeah, Ross.
And what are you thinking about moving on with your filmmaking career? What are you thinking of?
Yeah, thank you for asking that too. I have another film that was brought to me independently that we're finishing up in post right now. It'll be a feature documentary called Zaslow K427. It's about a mine sniffing dog and his canine handler, who were the longest tenured team post 9/11. They did 3 deployments to Afghanistan, 10 years together. And that dog was named after a man who was killed in the 9/11 towers. And his son, that man's son, his name is Ira Zaslow, came to me and was making a film and wanted me to direct and finish it. So it's really a beautiful film about the healing process that this man, Adam, was going through with losing his father, and how he kind of tracked down this dog that was named after his dad and became good friends with the canine handler. 2 different communities. He's from New York, and the canine handler is from Puerto Rico. And it's a real beautiful film that we were able to film at the 9/11 Memorial and kind of around the country, and a lot of dog heavy stuff, and we all love dogs, so it's a beautiful film. I have another film called Searching for Bergdahl that is struggling to get financing. It's been out there for years. It's kind of like the whole saga circling the story of that missing soldier and what happened and what happened when he came back. And he went missing while we were there. He was part of my brigade. interest. It's kind of similar in that I have a lot of footage of me looking for him, but it tells the story of the search, the media kind of frenzy, the political outrage, and what it means to kind of serve during a very controversial war. So, and then I have scripted stuff. I have a scripted horror movie that I'm trying to get out there about veteran suicide, actually. So I'm just grinding, grinding, doing the filmmaker thing. So thankful to have shared this film with you. Any last thoughts before I venture home back to Los Angeles?
Well, thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you.